it was cold, and I was wearing my Ugandan kanzu, like you remember, I think
Mm-hmm.
at night.
Yep.
But I didn't have a costume. I was like, I'll just go like a Ugandan man or something.
Yep. Yep. I'll never forget that night because that was the first time I met you,
Mhm.
and it was you and David, and so I'm seeing everybody's costumes, and then I see you and David over there, and I'm like, for some reason, I don't feel like that's just a costume. Like that, they actually wear that somewhere else in the world, and end up getting to talk to you guys and find out you're from Uganda. And
Mujevale, Mujevale, Mujevale. My name is Bani Kibuka, and welcome to another episode of the Ugandan Ball Talk Show.
Welcome once again to the Ugandan Boy Talk Show with your boy Bani Kibuka for a new episode. I'm so excited. I feel like this podcast is actually growing. Like every time I get to get people from different places, different backgrounds, and then they come on the podcast, share about their life stories, where they've been, and everything about themselves. And in today's podcast, I have a surprise. I get to host one of my good friends, my college roommate. Actually, he was my first college roommate. Muganda Wange. Welcome to the show, Nicholas.
Muganda Wange, hello. Yeah, great to be here, man. Yeah, you were my first too. You were my
Yeah.
first college roommate. And a funny thing about that was the other day I was telling my wife we were going to do this podcast,
Mhm.
and she said, "Oh, who's it with?" And I was like, "Oh, it's with my roommate Bonnie." And she said, "Why do you keep saying that? He's not your roommate." And I was like, "Yeah, no, like that's the best way for me to help you understand who I'm talking about."
All right. That's the
And
same thing I
so,
told I told my wife last night. Hey, I get to do a podcast with my roommate. I was like, oh yeah. Because I think one time when we were driving in Alabama, oh no, we were going to Florida. So you and I texted, we were supposed to meet somewhere, but it didn't happen. But I was with my wife. So I was like, hey, I want you to meet my college roommate. And yeah, that's exciting, man. I'm so glad I got to have you here.
I know it's
You were
crazy.
my very first roommate when I came to America. I didn't know anything. Probably my accent was really like you couldn't understand some of the things
Oh
I
no, I
said.
loved it. Loved it. Yeah, man. And you showed me and taught me a lot of things. There was a lot of first roommate.
Yeah.
You were the first person that basically kind of taught me how to play soccer, even though I'm still not very good at it. You
Yeah,
still,
I'm gonna ask you about that. But like to start the show, for my listeners, I wanted you to just tell us where you're born, where you're raised from, and your family background, or stuff like that.
okay, awesome. Yeah. So my name's Nick Johnson. I was born in Gadsden, Alabama, or more technically, Hokes Bluff, Alabama. Raised in Hokes Bluff, Alabama, and my ethnic background is I'm a quarter Filipino, and so that's why I kind of have the tan look. And then on my mom's side, and them they're just Caucasian, and so they got that mix going on. And yeah, so I mean that's kind of my
Yeah.
family background a little bit.
I mean, I knew a lot of that because like being with you roommates, obviously you're gonna learn. I got a chance to meet your family, and how are they doing? How is the family, your sister and your brother?
Yeah, they're doing good. They're all in their 20s now. My brother
Yeah.
and sister are in their 20s, and so they're doing great things. My little brother, is now taller than me, and so I'm 6'2", he's 6'5", and so the
Wow.
Lord showed more grace to him. I'm just kidding, but no, yeah. So they're doing good. They're both in college. He's going for an education degree, and
Yeah.
she's just in general studies right now. And parents are doing great. So
Yeah.
yeah, everything's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we get off the podcast, you tell them I said hi and I'm sending my greetings. I'm sure if they get a chance,
Absolutely.
they'll watch this podcast. I'm gonna post it on
Absolutely.
YouTube.
I'm going to share
Uh,
it with everyone.
is your brother still playing basketball? Because I used to follow him a lot on Instagram about his basketball career. How did that end up in college?
Yeah, so he was playing basketball for Gadsden State, and then I think he had the opportunity maybe to go to Jacksonville State. I think, but they wanted him to walk on, and he just decided to focus on his studies instead.
Okay.
And so, yeah, he chose not to play. And so, but I mean, he
Yeah.
misses it, and he still plays a lot, like recreationally.
That reminds me of you, because when I met you in college, you really loved basketball.
Oh yeah.
When we played outside on the parking lot on the hoop with some guys out there, like I would really watch you play, and you really loved it, and you really liked it, and you were good at it. So,
Somewhat.
do you still love basketball? Do you get a chance to
Yeah.
play around?
I really don't, I really don't get to play a lot, honestly. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
The only fitness I do now is really in the gym. I don't really get to
Yeah.
play sports as much as I used to. So yeah,
Yeah.
sadly.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about your childhood hobbies, but I feel like it was basketball. Is there anything else that
Yeah,
you did? Yeah, it was basketball.
it was basketball. Yeah, that's mainly what I enjoyed, and
Yeah.
yeah, so now it's working out.
Yeah. So born and raised in Gadsden, Alabama. I got an opportunity to visit the town, Gadsden, Alabama. It's a pretty cool town. I loved it. I miss Alabama. I
Yeah.
tell people my life in America started in Alabama. So everything, like people, like everything I am today, like all the roots are from Alabama. So I might call myself an Alabama native.
Yeah, yeah, and it's funny because all the international students that I run into that come to Gadsden, my first question is, "Why are you here?" Like, out of all the places in the
Yeah.
United States, you chose Gadsden, Alabama. I'm sorry for you.
Yeah, that reminds me. I'll just dive right in right up. Like once you mentioned that, it brings memories back, because you took me to Gadsden, Alabama, and then we went to the Gadsden community college.
Mhm.
We met a bunch of like international students who were coming from all
Yes.
over the place. Benin. I remember the guy from Togo.
Mhm.
You took me to my first what's it called, candy, the night Halloween party.
Oh yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
remember that? That
Trick or
was
treat.
trick or treat. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
cold, and I was wearing my Ugandan kanzu, like you remember. I think
Mhm.
that night,
Yep.
but I didn't have a costume. I was like, I'll just go like a Ugandan man or something.
Yep. 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 I'll never forget that night because that was the first time I met you.
Mhm.
And it was you and David, and so I'm seeing everybody's costumes, and then I see you and David over there, and I'm like, for some reason I don't feel like that's just a costume, like that they actually wear that somewhere else in the world, and end up getting to talk to you guys and find out you're from Uganda, and David was from Germany, so it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Actually, mentioning about that, because I was gonna ask you how, when we became friends, how did we become friends? Because
Yeah.
you remember that story? Because you just mentioned a
Oh
little bit
yeah.
about it.
Yeah, and that it's funny because I have many friends that I've thought about, and like we've even talked among ourselves, like, when did we meet?
Mhm.
And a lot of them I don't know, but
Yeah.
with you and David, I remember that night very clearly, and everything. Well, I say clearly. I just remember meeting you guys at that time and place,
Mhm.
and just how even running into you two took my life on a whole different trajectory. Living in
Yeah.
Birmingham after that, that was
Mhm.
awesome. I was so happy to get out of Gadsden for a little bit and
I,
go to Birmingham.
I like the flow of this story, because everything that I had planned, even like just looking down on my notes, I don't really need it, because every time you mention something, it just clicks right. Oh yeah, that's how. So that's how you ended up finding about Southeastern Bible College, and then
Yeah.
you came to. Because I was gonna ask you, so how did you end
Hmm.
up at Southeastern Bible College? Actually,
Yeah.
more
So
details.
yeah. So really wanted to study more of the Bible and theology, and I was at a church called Cross Fellowship, and that was very encouraged. And just I run into you two, and I'm like, oh, they go to a Bible college. They must know a lot about the Bible. And so I got to start talking a lot about with you guys. And then y'all were telling me all about it. And I think it was mainly you who was saying, dude, you can do this. You can
Mhm.
come, and you can even be my roommate. We can live together. And I was just like, oh, dude, I've never had a roommate before. I would love that. And so you really were my hot man to come to college to Southeastern. And so Southeastern, I know they don't really exist anymore, but they should pay you because the main advertiser.
Yeah, and then after that, then you came to check it out. Actually, you spent the night in my room before you actually moved in.
I love
was,
that. I remember that too. Yeah,
yeah,
that was so cool. Everybody was so nice.
yeah.
Everybody was easy to get along with, and the first night there, I was just like, man, I want this to be life. I want to do life here, you know. And
you know,
so,
now that I remember, actually, I think a little bit. We I don't know. Maybe it's just in my head, but like I remember we tried. Didn't we have like some? I don't know if it was a misunderstanding, like getting to know each other because we both came from a different cultures. You know, like I don't know if it's something, if it happened, like, and then once we clicked, once we knew each other, I don't remember, but I think it's, and then we
I
got to
think,
know each other.
yeah, we did. Oh my goodness, I forgot all about that. You're After the first time we'd hung out a little bit that night at that Halloween thing. I remember like your last greeting, or like basically your last words to me was, "You're a very stubborn person," and I was like, "Wait, what? Like, how do you? I just met you, and you think I'm stubborn?" And but somehow I don't know how. After that, we became really good friends.
Yeah, that was crazy. I think you helped me, like you said, I helped you get into college, but like that was my very first year in the United States. I barely knew anything. I didn't even know how to order food from a fast food restaurant, you know, things like that, like small things. But oh, to go into like the life at Southeastern Bible College, like how was your time there? What are some of the things you remember while now we're in college?
Yeah, I still look back on some of the pictures and try to remember everything, but I know for the most part it was a lot of reading, and so I was always tired, and there was a lot of eating, and we'd eat at so many good restaurants,
Yeah.
and then we would go to class, and I loved the classes that we'd have together because it was just a lot more fun, and you know, we just sit in there and we'd both leave class maybe confused or together or understanding together, and so everything was together. And then there was a season where I was just watching nothing but Netflix all the time. My goodness, I'm watching so much Netflix. So yeah, it was a good experience, honestly.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
One thing I remember, actually, at that time I didn't even have a car. I didn't even know how to drive, but you would drive me like all the places, like wherever I want to go, wherever I need. And then when we met other people like David, I remember I still have a picture in my phone where you guys were gathering in like our room and just having a conversation with all the other guys. I mean, for me, like in Southeastern Bible College, if I didn't have you or David, like I feel like you two guys made my life easier in the college. Like I connected with you guys because I remember David took me to my first spring break. We went to Pensacola. We drove his little red, I don't even know what car he had, like a little red, I think Pontiac or something. So he took me to the beach, and that was amazing. And like when I met you, like during the holidays in the mid, you would take me to your home and just hang out, just jump in the pool and all the fun stuff.
That was back when I lived in the big house, and
oh yeah,
it's like I tell my wife about that all the time. I'm like, yeah, we used to live in a huge house, and it was fun. Like, and you know, so it was, yeah, really good times. And I mean, I say the same thing about you and David. You two really made my life easier and taught me so much, so many things that I didn't know before. And you know, you really did encourage me, and you were like my hype man, and I tried to be your hype man. And you know, anytime I was like, I can't do this, you're like, yeah, you can.
Yeah.
And you're like, you can do this. And you know, and I would try to be the same for you. And so it was, man, I needed that for sure.
Yeah. Are you still in touch with David?
Yeah, I actually talked to him several weeks ago because he's in the Air Force, and I was just talking to him about like computers and things like that. And so yeah, he seems like he's having a good time. He's traveling the world, going to Spain and Greece and all these places that I would love to go.
So I recently had a topic on my podcast about college. I don't know if you ever listen to that podcast. I recorded with some of my recent college friends because you know, after I left Alabama, I moved to Michigan, and then I went to the flight school, and then once I finished there, I went back to Bible college at a school called Great Lakes Christian College, where I finished my Bible degree and cross-cultural studies. Um, but yeah, I thought of something, and I host some friends of mine to talk about college. And if anybody's listening right now and you want to know what we talked about, we're basically just having a debate on like college is a scam or not. So like people were
Mm-hmm.
debating on that. But from that, I wanted to ask you a question. What do you think about that? Like, do you think you benefited a lot from college, or was it worth it? And what did you benefit from college?
Man, that's such a good question, especially like where I'm at right now in life, because I'm trying to teach myself something, a
Mhm.
skill that can maybe help me get a job in
Right.
a completely different field that I don't have a degree in. And so,
Mhm.
and I'm able to do that. And so it's like computer programming. And
Right.
my friend's telling me, hey, you can get a job in this without any degree. And I was
Mhm.
like, man, that's crazy. And so I'm teaching myself. And then I'm like, well, man, like if you can do that with a degree, like, with something like this, I mean, surely you should be able to do that with anything, almost. I mean, maybe
Right.
not a doctor. I don't know if I'd want a self-taught doctor working on me. I don't know. But yeah, so I think college, man, yeah, it costs so much.
Mhm.
I think it definitely should be a lot more affordable, because it's like, man, yeah, you either you leave in debt or you leave broke, right?
Mhm.
And but then also I'm wondering what the future will look like because of all these different course platforms like Skillshare and
Right.
Udemy. I wonder if that's gonna end up being something to where maybe people start taking more classes on there instead of maybe going to a formal
Mhm.
university. So I don't know if that answers your
Yeah.
question.
No, yeah, yeah, definitely. Because actually, one of the guys that I had on the platform, he mentioned like these days there's things like YouTube where people will go watch how to do something and just use YouTube to learn how. Like there are people who have learned how to repair cars by just looking up on YouTube, and they start a business like repairing cars. But,
Exactly.
but
Exactly. And that's my programmer friend told me too. He said people think programming's crazy, which I still think it is.
mhm.
But he said, really, programmers are just master Googlers and master YouTubers, because we can type in the right way to find the right answer on YouTube or Google. We don't know everything, but we can try to find it on YouTube or
Yeah.
Google.
Oh, that's crazy. But yeah, before we leave the college part of it, you mentioned how I got you into soccer. Do you remember what experience did you have in college getting to play soccer the first time?
I just remember I kept getting hurt. Like I
Mhm.
would I would I would go to kick the ball super hard, and I didn't know how the proper way to kick a soccer ball. I was trying to kick it like a football, and like one time my foot, like I was gonna kick it hard, and my foot went right into the ground and didn't even hit the ball, and like right there at the where the ankle and the top of the foot, man, it was sprained and bruised, and I was like, I don't know if I want to play this anymore. But because I did that, I was able to somewhat understand how to play soccer with
Mhm.
other internationals years after that. So I was
Yeah.
grateful for that experience.
Yeah, that is nice. But after that, you went to Kentucky, right? How was life there?
Yeah, well, so I didn't actually get to go to I took online classes, but
Okay.
I did get to visit up there a little bit. I mean, that was really nice up there. I
Mhm.
really enjoyed the campus,
Boys.
but I didn't really get to experience the campus life, and so most of it was just online. And
Yeah.
so, but I wanted to go up there, but that was expensive too.
You know, the
So
funny thing about boys' college, the college I went to in Lansing, they're in the same Christian community, and we play in the same league, soccer.
huh?
So I got to
Wow,
play boys Christian college
were
in
they,
soccer,
were they
and
good?
yeah, they were really good. Their
Oh,
team was really good. They
oh
were
wow.
they were really, and actually I got to meet different people from Africa, like one guy
Hmm.
from Nigeria, another guy from Ethiopia, and we became friends. We're still friends till today, and they went to boys and they were
Hmm.
talking good things about boys college. But yeah, they were really good in soccer. They smashed us so bad.
Oh man. Yeah, I
uh,
imagine they would.
our team was just developing. It wasn't the greatest, but we
Mm-hmm.
did our best and we would play. But yeah, every time when we played boys, I remember, oh, my former roommate went to this school, but I mean, I know you didn't go to the campus part of it,
Right.
but that was pretty
Right.
cool. So
Man,
did
that's awesome.
you worked a church for a little bit, what?
Right. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I did international. I was kind of like a international minister at Christ Fellowship
Mhm.
for a few years, and then I went to Wills Creek, and so I was a international minister there for a few years. And so that
Mhm.
was actually recently I left there, and so now I'm at another church called AIM Church. I'm not in any formal position or anything. I'm
Mhm.
just uh, me and my wife kind of decided to take a break from ministry and just kind of let's be members. Let's just
Right.
go to church and try to be good, faithful members. And
Mhm.
but I'm really liking the church because it's an Acts 29 church. I don't know if you're familiar with that network. It's Matt Chandler and all those
I know Mark
guys.
Chandler, but I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he's basically like the president or the CEO, or I think president of
Mhm.
that church. It's a church planning organization.
Yeah.
And so it's really cool how the church is structured. They're all about, life on life and trying to get out into the community and be missional. And
Mhm.
so I've been enjoying it, man. It's
Nice.
been a
Yeah,
it's
that's
been good.
the same way to me. When I was in aviation school and the Bible college, I had local churches that I would go to. Um, I one church I would help out with the youth group, but when I moved to Lansing, I didn't have a home church for a while. But then I went to another church that I started going to regularly, and actually they had a position for connections pastor or something like that. Yeah.
Hmm,
So and then
man.
I was like, I asked my wife, we talked about it, I was like, I really want to serve in the church. I want to, do you think that's the right? But in me, I didn't believe, but then my wife was like, I think you can do it. I think you can do it.
Hmm,
And so I put in my resume at the church. And then the pastor was really good friend of mine. Like he did our wedding. He was a close friend of mine.
oh, nice.
But when we walked through, I didn't end up getting the job. But then I was like, I wasn't sad or anything. I was like, I
Mhm.
don't think that's my call. Like, I don't think that's where I was
Mhm.
supposed to go, because I'm the kind of person who believes everything happens for a reason. Like, you didn't get it.
Mhm.
But a little over that, then I was like, well, I have my aviation license. Well, what's next? And then a job opened up and I moved from the place 3 hours away. So I got a job as an airplane mechanic. And we moved during the pandemic. So churches were all closed. But funny thing, in 2019, I got an opportunity to come to this area where I live right now and speak at a church. I'd never heard of this place in my life. I didn't even know I'm going to live here in a moment. So I
Mhm.
came, spoke at the church. I went back home, nothing. So a few years later, there's a job in this area. And then I didn't even know this place was here.
Hmm.
So I come up here, and when we moved here, it's like, dude, we live close to this church. So we started going back to the church, and that church
Mhm.
was really nice to us. They were really nice people. The first time they met us, and they invited me to speak there again in November. So I'll be back at the church. I've been going, but during the pandemic, with churches being closed. But
Yeah, I
anyway,
bet.
yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Just working with submersion spurs, going to places and stuff. But then
That's
I have a
awesome,
full
man.
time job where I'm an airplane mechanic fixing airplanes. So
Mhm. I see
that's
that. Yeah, I see that on Instagram. See all that. I was like, man, dude, finally got
yeah.
it.
So that's what I'm working at right now. But so you said you
Mhm.
left that church, and then
Mhm.
then you work in technology, because I've seen you post a lot of technology stuff.
Yeah, so that's the goal. That's kind of where, like I said, I'm trying to teach myself um, programming. So
Mhm.
I'm starting with Java. It's a computer language, and so trying to
Mhm.
learn that, teach myself that,
Yeah.
and practice it as much as I can. And then at the
Mhm.
same time, trying to start posting and sharing more, creating more on Instagram,
Mhm.
being more involved there, and also like so my wife, she's going to be a graphic designer, and so
Yeah.
she'll graduate next year,
Mhm.
and so since I've been married to her, it's like my eye for design and my
Right.
love for everything looking really nice is
Uh-huh.
changed. Like you can't tell right now, but this wall behind me is white. our whole house inside is white.
Yeah.
Everything in the house is white, black, or gray. And so I'm not
Wow.
even joking. And
Yeah.
so it's like, and that's even like my wardrobe now. It's like white, black, and gray.
Uh-huh.
And
And
so
then your
it's like,
Instagram is white and black.
yeah, exactly. And so
Uh-huh.
I love that now. And so she's changed me. So I'm trying to learn computer programming, but then I'm also very interested in the design side of things and trying to learn
Okay.
how to become a designer in like Instagram and things like
Right.
that.
Yeah, that was really cool because I saw you posted one of the wave. Was it a wave that she designed that you posted on
Yes.
Instagram? That was pretty cool.
Yeah, dude, that was
It's the same thing with me. Like I decided to do a podcast during the pandemic. I was like, dude, I like telling stories. I like talking. You notice that when we're in college, like I love to talk, and I'll talk about these stories from Uganda, how this happened, and every place I would go, people will be like, have you ever considered writing a book? You should write a book.
Yeah.
But I'm not really good at writing, but I'm good
Mm.
at talking. I
Yeah,
like to
you
talk.
are.
So I
You're a
was
good
like,
storyteller. Yeah, you're
yeah.
good at telling stories.
So I was like, I'll start a podcast. So this is the reason why I started a podcast. And when I started telling my stories, I was like, maybe there are other people out there that have cool stories. That when I bring these
Mm.
stories, and the reason for this is to impact the kids back in Uganda, to listen to these people's stories, my story, how my life has been evolving after moving to the United States, struggling with visas. You remember the time
Yeah,
of the
dude.
visa? Because
Man.
David wanted to drive me to Vermont one time to get my visa fixed.
Your whole life is a story in itself of just of like how you went through struggle, but then you came out on the other side, and it's an inspiration. And like I said,
Right.
you're able to encourage people out of that. And so when I was looking through some of the content on your podcast, I was just like, yeah, people want to hear that. People want to hear stories. They want to
Yeah.
hear real stories about struggle, about success, but also about failure. And so I was like, yeah, dude, Bonnie's perfect for that.
Yeah, and that was really cool. But what I was getting to, like, my wife is so technical. I think I'll know computers, but my wife she's good at computers. Like,
Yeah.
and getting into the graphic designing, like for my podcast, like posters for my guests and stuff like that. I didn't have any idea, but like she would mess around with the computer and say, "Hey, you can use this, you can create that," and just learning and having her help me teach that. That's been really, really cool. So I can relate when you talk about how like the wife has impacted your life.
Absolutely. Yeah, your little your podcast icon or logo. Yeah, I was looking at that and I was like, man, that's really well done.
Yeah,
It's
actually reminding me of that. I need to send a shout out to the guy. There's a guy back in Uganda who designed that logo for me.
man.
Derek, the guy, he told me not to say his name on the podcast, but I feel guilty to hide his talent back.
That's right.
But I want to shout out to Derek. He's a great guy. He has helped me a lot in the graphics part of it, on top of what other things. And sometimes I feel like I want to learn to do these things to be better. But so Nicholas, it feels weird calling you Nicholas because I'm
Oh,
used
it's
to calling
good.
you Nick. But like
It's
Nick,
good.
what are some of the life lessons that you've learned in your life? What would you say is my life lesson?
So personally, life lessons recently, probably one of the biggest is to really not say that you can't do something, because I know like the natural tendency is if you go to something and you try it and it doesn't work, and then maybe you try it again and it doesn't work, to maybe say, okay, well, it's just not for me. Instead, to maybe say, no, I'm going to get this. For example, like computer program. No, I'm going to get this. I'm going to keep going back to this until my mind understands what it is, or or I'm not going to stop
Yeah.
until it's mine. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
And so I guess tenacity and persistence, and to keep trying, because I guess that was something for me, thinking, I was like, have I really taught myself anything? Like, is there a skill I have that I took the discipline to really, teach myself? And I was thinking about it, I was like, I don't really think there is. Maybe there is, but maybe not. And so I was like, computer programming, this is going to be my thing. I'm going to master this,
Okay.
And so I'm early in the process, but
Mhm.
hold me to it. Hopefully I'll continue and be persistent in
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. And my dad told me the word before I left Uganda coming to the United States. He says, there's nothing impossible to a willing heart. So if your heart is willing to do that, you're gonna make it. Like just persistence and determination. That's
Right.
all you need. And before I forget, so are you a podcaster or is that
No,
uh-huh.
we had one a while back.
Yeah.
And it was basically like we just talked on like theology and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't keep, it was during COVID, and so
Right.
we did it for a few episodes, and then life got super busy, and
Mm-hmm.
so wasn't able to, because like you got to do the editing, and you got to
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
kind of, there's a lot to it. And
Right.
so we were just all kind of like, yeah, I don't know if this is for us right now. And so
Yeah, I
but
definitely feel you on that. So I have a full-time job where I work from 7 to 3:30, come back home,
mhm,
edit the episode, and then you have to put it out. And then when once you get the listeners, they want more, they want more, so you can't stop. And I'm kind of a person who likes to stick to my word and keep doing it.
right,
But the other thing is I love it. But sometimes if I can't make it, they'll understand. And then I'm
right,
like, I couldn't,
supportive.
like, yeah, I couldn't get a podcast this weekend, but whenever I can, I do my best to do it.
That's good.
So we're almost coming to the close of this episode. But I want to ask you one of my signature questions that I ask people when I host them on the podcast.
Uh-oh.
What gets you excited about life?
What gets me excited about life? Yeah. I mean, lately, it's been, I mean, you can tell from, like you said, my Instagram and then my house and everything
Mhm.
has been design, and trying to make everything look the best that it can, and so um, from the Instagram,
Yeah.
from my house, from everything that I do, I want to analyze it and make it the best that it can be,
Mhm.
and so that's kind of got me excited, because living in a town like I live in, Gadsden, Alabama, where that's not really people's focus, and you see so many things that aren't really done well, it versus like maybe if I lived in a big city where design is important and art is important. um, so like living here, it's like there's a lot of things that could be improved, and so that kind of in some sense gives me motivation that
Mhm.
there's so much room for improvement all around me. Everything can be better. So that's really I guess motivated me lately.
Yeah. And one thing that has been on my head, I didn't know where to bring it out. Now I remember it. And it makes a perfect example. Like right now, looking at you, the wall is black, the microphone is black, the ring is black, the watch is black, the hat is black, the headphones black, with the ring, everything like black, and then a background. That explains everything. So good job on you. I try to keep the colors that I try to keep is the Uganda colors, like black,
Yeah,
yellow, red. And even when I'm posting on Instagram, I try to keep the theme. Sometimes it's a little hard, but
yeah.
I do my best to do that. And then, so my final question for you is, who would you want to see on the show, on this show? But you'll be able to get the person for us here. It could be anybody. It doesn't matter who. It could be somebody, like, hey, this dude, I'd want to get him on the podcast here.
Okay. Anybody I wanted to get on the show? Mm, that's a good question. Ooh, hmm, maybe, maybe one of my pastors, maybe,
Yeah.
maybe, yeah, maybe one of them. I mean,
Yeah.
I talk to them a lot, and so maybe one of them. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have
Yeah.
to think
Yeah.
about that. Maybe I
Yeah.
could get back with you.
Yeah. We'll go with that. We'll let you think about it and then get back to us. But yeah, Nick, I'm so glad I got to catch up with you. And for the listeners who don't even know this, like, I mean, we've been texting back and forth on Instagram, but this is like the official kind of face to face, not face to face, but like seeing each other in like
Right. Yeah.
in like 3-4 years or something like that.
Right. What they're hearing is for the first time is what you're hearing. A lot of it's for the first time.
Right.
So,
But
yeah,
yeah, I appreciate that
absolutely.
we're able to make this work. A lot of people will
Yeah.
listen to this, and I think they will get impacted, learn more about life. One of the things I forgot to talk about, I remember
Okay.
us listening to Bob Marley in the
Mhm.
car and just jamming to that. That was one of
Mhm.
my moments that I remembered while we're jamming in the car.
Oh,
But
yeah.
anyway, yeah. Any final remarks? Anything I've not asked you that you want to talk about?
Well, yeah, I think that's about. I mean, well, I guess how was your family though? I imagine your podcast listeners probably know, but since this
Yeah.
is our first time catching up in a while, how's your
Yeah,
family?
my family's doing good. Uganda has been affected with COVID worse than the States, the US. Schools have been closed for over 2 years.
Wow.
Kids have not been going to school. My dad and mom, a lot of people died this year in COVID. A lot of people, that's people I know, my dad's friends, and it created some tension in them. So they've been affected more with that. My dad has some health issues he's dealing with, same as my mom. But my brother is doing great. He has 2 little kids and his wife. I talk to my brother quite often. But yeah, family is doing good. I just talked to them yesterday, and
Okay. Any little Bonnies on the way soon?
not yet, but loading. We're
Okay.
first
Loading.
we're waiting for some little Johnsons.
Oh no, we're waiting on the Kibukas first.
All right, brother. Thank you very much for being on the podcast.
Absolutely, brother. Muganda Wange.
Yeah, no,
Hey there, I am Bonnie Kibuka, the host of the Ugandan Boy Talk Show. Thanks for watching my video, and don't forget to hit subscribe and share with a friend. Tune in every Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time for a new episode about my podcast. And for more information about this podcast, follow me on my Instagram page, talk_show_256.